gonna start streaming. You should be able to see the YouTube feed any second. Yeah, and it's working. And I'm gonna stream to Instagram as well. So, Sam, I'm unlisted yet. Still, I'm doing Instagram, public. Instagram is always the one that takes. They change the key and sometimes the stream URL every time, or actually every few hours. So, yeah. Once I'm live there. Okay, we are live on Instagram. Yeah, I'm live on YouTube as well. We're ready. Cool. Awesome to have you here. Great. We made this happen quite within a week, I believe. It was last week we were chatting about AI tools and we were like, let's talk about this publicly. Guys, can you give us like some feedback if you can hear us well, if everything is fine? Because I've done this a lot on my channel, but man, live streams, things sometimes go wrong. Okay. Probably. Yeah, check go to the edit and check if it's public. Awesome. Yeah, awesome. I'm gonna try to put Instagram and YouTube next to one another. Man, I don't have enough screens. Okay, so I'm getting some comment that they don't hear you, and I could, yeah. All right, thank you guys. That's what I wanted to see. If it's the case, so let me go to studio mode so they don't see everything that is going on beyond the scenes. All right. How am I gonna drive like your audio separately? I can't. So the issue is if they can hear you, it seems like I won't be able to hear you. Can you talk, please?
Two.
Yeah, I see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you. Darn it. Maybe I have a way to fix this. What if I go to the browser?
Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
And
test 1 2. Unless it's an input level thing, like yesterday.
no, I got it working, but in a.
I mean, mine's quite.
Yeah. I got it working. So.
Yeah.
I can hear you, but the way I can hear you is that I'm monitoring your audio. I'm not hearing you through the platform that we are live on, which is a bit strange because yeah, I could hear you just fine.
Test 1 2.
I'm gonna do one more
Test 1
testing
2.
here to make sure.
Test 1
Yeah,
2.
sorry guys, and thank you for like being patient here with us. This is the nature of going live. Things break.
We had it yesterday. What did you change?
Nothing, literally nothing. Even the room, I didn't even close it. It's the same room. And I was live with my developer like an hour ago just to test things again, and it was working.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, where
Check
do I
mine.
see the comments from my from my not Instagram, from my
YouTube.
YouTube?
Go
Because
into.
it says something went wrong, so I'm gonna reload it, and I don't know if reloading will break something because the comment section has not, yeah, it's not loading for me.
Hmm.
The live comment on YouTube. Well, I'll try to open that
I'm
on
just going to
my.
test, right? I'm just going to talk. I'm ignoring you, Kabarza. I'm just talking because I'm just double checking. I can hear myself in my feed. I think I'm fine on mine.
You should be fine. You should be like, everything should be fine on your end. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got yeah. I've got audio. It's a little bit quiet, but audio is coming through on my side.
Your audio is quiet, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but it's coming
increase it.
through. Test
I'm
test one
increasing
two.
it. Now visually it looks like the same.
Okay,
To,
cool.
it
Okay,
might clip,
just
but
gonna.
we can be mindful of that.
Oh
All
no, there we
right,
go. I think it's fine.
should be fine. So we have 6 people watching on my
Cool,
Instagram. I
cool. I
don't
think
see
we
how
we
many.
should we should start. I
Yeah,
think we should start because
yeah. Let's
my audio
do.
is working. Right. I would. Well, we're going to be watching the chat anyway, so anything you want to kind of bring up or talk about, want us to talk about or whatever, we'll obviously do that. But we do have a little list of things we want to jump into, mainly revolving around AI stuff. Because
Exactly.
if you've just joined, Kawaza said that like last week we got into a deep discussion about all of the AI stuff that seems to be going crazy right now, particularly in the development world. And actually, maybe we can riff right at the end because we were talking about design tools. And I think as designers, what they expect from AI, and developers, what they expect from AI, but we're all kind of making the same thing, which is websites. So I don't know, maybe that'll be another thing we jump into.
Um, yeah, definitely. And also in that list of things, you mentioned that you have some stuff you want to show it to me, like some tweets, probably. I haven't been
Oh yeah.
that active in the past 2, 3 days. It's been busy playing with AI, trying to not get replaced by AI, that kind of stuff.
Mate, if I can summarize my thoughts and feelings right off the bat, is that I think devs have got more to sort of not worry about, but they've got more to catch up on because AI is already deep in the development world, whereas AI just barely exists in the design world. So like, yeah, I think you're all right. But should we should we kick it off with Webflow AI, considering that's kind of our meat and potatoes, our bread and butter? Um,
Yeah, let's do that. All right, I'm
cool.
gonna
Could,
share my screen,
yeah, do it.
and I don't have the link open, but I'm gonna do that. Webflow AI, because if you go to Webflow AI, now I'm sharing my screen, you will see that they have this build with AI, but it's like everything. It's not the site builder AI, which this is what we want to talk about. So it's webflow.com/AI, but also webflow.com/AI site builder. This is what we want to talk about.
Mm.
And this is interesting because Webflow specifically tried to tackle this thing, which is building an entire site, not just a page. They call it a site builder, which doesn't quite work. So, spoiler alert. And we can get into it. I have a video coming up. I know that you made a video. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched like the intro.
The intro, come on, man.
Yeah, shame on me. So
shame on me for not hooking you.
We gotta play the game. We gotta get better. So you see this fancy animation page. Again, spoiler. This is not made with AI. So the page itself is not made with AI. So it's pretty cool when you click on try this AI builder, or actually if you are in your Webflow workspace and you click on building and click on new site, this is what you will see. So they are like pushing it next to the template as kind of like a reliable thing, or like as an option, even though it says beta. Anyway, we click that. And
it's just important to note at this point, like, I don't know whether it's a beta thing, but you can't add AI to an existing website. Like, it's still, you have to start, which is really interesting, just to put a pin in the idea of who is this for, who are the users. But yeah, I'll let you go for it.
AI page builder. I'm asking ChatGPT to give me actually a prompt. Write a short prompt for an AI page builder to make a website for a car detailing shop. Is it the right wording? Whatever. My younger brother, he's probably not in the live. He has a business now. It's a car detailing, and he asks me to make a website for him. The issue is I do like heavy lifting type of work. So I don't know, like what he wants me to build will be really custom, but I'm interested to know if the AI can do it. What is the name of your project? Ferber. It's the name of my brother. Let me also zoom in a little bit so people don't go blind watching the stream. Share some details.
I think we're on top of it as well.
I have not read the prompt. I'm just pasting it.
What was I going to say? Isn't it funny that basically you're using the AI to give to another AI?
Yeah,
like you're just the conduit. You're just the messenger.
Yeah, and
for AIs to speak to.
Very soon I'll be out of job because the message. Yeah, why do they need? They will automate this. Well, we'll see about that in about short minutes. So brand style we can do. Professional, AI suggested. What else do they have? Natural, minimal, futuristic, elegant, playful, bold.
Should I jump in a little bit? Because I've obviously done this.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have faith that the AI, the AI to choose it for me, actually had my best intentions at heart. Because I know the output, the creativity is not where this shines. It does not shine in creative outlet. So I personally think you're better off choosing your theme. You still need to understand who your users are and all the rest of it. But I left it to AI and I was like, well, how does this resonate with my target user? I don't think it did, but that's my 2 cents anyway.
Well, either way, you have the option to change it. AI is just gonna suggest something to you, and you can change it up completely. And here are my questions. I have some serious questions about what about this is actually AI. Right now, we've been waiting for about a minute. What is Webflow cooking? And if it's a ChatGPT API or whatever they are calling, what are they cooking behind the scenes? And what is already there before I made the prompt? That's my question.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they give you, it seems like they give you this premium car detailing services, orange. Last time I did a website, it was also orange. I don't know why they like that, but car.
So have a little scroll through, right? if we think about this as for a car dealership, are you getting car dealership vibes other than the
I would say.
photos?
I actually would say
Yeah,
so. Yeah, I like this, like this
that's
color, this
interesting.
silverish color, and the orange. I'm not sure about the orange. But actually, yes, not like crazy,
I think
obviously.
it looks pretty good, to be honest.
It's as much as, let's say, touching up on a very simple template could get you. It's not like
Mm.
custom illustrations or anything. Um, but interesting. So they do this, and right out of the bat, you have the option to change some of the styles, but you can change that later as well. Let's go to
Just
start.
something here that I didn't make clear on my video is you've got three on the left hand side there. You've got three kind of themes that you can just select between, and these will change everything that you see below. So
Um,
I thought like the three at the top, or I don't know whether you could side scroll, but like the three at the top are changing the color, they're changing the font, they're changing the space, they're changing all of it. Or you can drill deeper by changing just the color or just the headings or something like that, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does.
I thought
It
it was
does.
like yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Well, I clicked that away, and now we have this theme button that doesn't exist on a normal
Hmm.
site. Let me
Hmm.
see if I can zoom in more without
You
breaking
should
things.
be
Yeah.
able to select. You should be able to move between layouts as well at the top right of
Yes,
the.
exactly. So we can click on, well, we could previously, but right now, if I click on a section, I don't have that option, but I have
Hmm.
this AI assistant thing. So what we can do with this site, let's actually give it a preview and also check the menu. You saw that animation?
No.
There is some animation, but the layout is quite broken, and like this booking is, you know, um, below the fold, and I
Mm.
can't scroll it. If I
Mm.
scroll, the page scrolls, the firmware stays sticky, the nav goes up, so it's quite messy. It's beta.
Interesting.
It's beta. The my first problem. So I have a lot of problems with this. First problem is, who is this for, and how can these things be fixed? If this is something that interests me, obviously I will be able to fix this. But if this is something for my brother to build his business on,
Mm.
he won't be able to fix this. No
No.
way. Good luck.
I think the beta terminology like helps its case a little bit,
Yeah.
but the like people know what to expect hopefully when they hear beta or whatever. But I think I said it in a tweet a few weeks ago. You've only got one stab at this, and if people take the risk and say, "Well, I'm going to try it," even though it's in beta, they'll still be. I don't think the beta, what do you call it, moniker, saves them from that. Does that make sense? Like, I think it needs to be better. To be honest, like when you say who's it
Yeah,
for,
it's I don't know why they rushed this. We'll get into this, but I think they should have, and maybe they should have worked on something like Lovable, which we want to get into. But this, like, site builder that doesn't work, that is for no one, I cannot recommend this to anybody, even though right now we got actually a pretty good, like, okay-ish layout. But again, like
mm,
you see, this is not really working well. This is again out of the frame, the
mm,
padding and okay, it's beta. It's like again a prototype. But what's good about this is that I can change it up. It's not like with Lovable you have less. Well, I guess if you would go to the code, you could change everything. But with Webflow, the idea is that the visuals are here and I can change things up. So let's talk about the things that we can change. We can change the colors, obviously. We can go any theme that we want. And if I click, everything just changes. In the first look, it looks nice. It looks okay. But how does that work? We can go to the style guide and we can see that they are obviously making this style guide to base everything on. And the issue I heard people having with this is they are using some sort of, their own type of style guide. This is not client first. This is not Mast. This is not Lumos. This is not even the boilerplate that Webflow has. This is something completely new.
I'm struggling why this is causing so much debate. This class naming thing,
because Webflow's supposed to work like this. They are building. What features have they been shipping lately? Variables. They know that the platform supposed to work on based on this foundations of CSS, right? And they are basing everything on that, but the foundation itself is using a language or a system that nobody uses. That is not even, some would say it's not even great. It could get much better. It works in the first glance, but here's the issue. Comes back to the question, who is this for? If it's for me as a developer, I don't want any of this. I don't want to use this style guide. I don't want to use this type of variables. I want to use, Mast, not this. And now that begs the question, how difficult is it for me to go from 0 to this point using Mast?
I mean,
client
first. I don't think that's really the point. Obviously, as it stands, well, when you ask who's it for, what my conclusion is that it's for people who literally just don't know how to use Webflow. They don't know about building a website. They just they've started a company like your brother, and they just want to get something up and running. They want someone to take care of the copyright, and they want someone to take care of the imagery. They just want a website, and they just want to do it with a prompt, right? They're not then going to really dig in deep and really change the website. This took you less than a minute to get up and running, right? And now they've got a website. Think of that, the power behind that. And now he can go about his business. Granted, it's not perfect, but he's...
But that's the idea.
Because it's in beta.
Yeah, we can always come back to this. That's the defense that okay, it's in beta.
But right now, because it's not perfect, because there are issues with this current website that you're looking at right now, really it's for businesses who start up, don't have much money, and then just ask someone who kind of knows what they're doing, and you will charge just an hour of your time just to get this up and running and clean it up, as opposed to 6 weeks building a website from scratch. It's still going to work out cheaper for that type of person. Yes, you have to deal with crappy classes and all the rest of it, but then you're charging an hour just to clean up the AI website that they've created, right? I just don't think the class naming convention is something that needs to stand the test of time, because it's just not necessary. This website won't stand the test of time, because once they start making some money, once they start selling some cars, they'll be like, right, cool, let's build something that's proper now, So
yeah, no, I get that. And you know what? This website, I noticed we didn't get any weird bugs. Maybe they are, not maybe, they are for sure ironing out things, even though it's beta. Probably the version that I'm using today is better than the version that you made a video of.
Rubbish.
Because the first day I used it, and I wasn't the first one having these issues. We did it with the community, with a few other people. Every single one of us had horizontal scroll issues, like the layout straight out broken. But this mobile, and I'm talking about mobile, this mobile, except for this thing that is, because probably the width is not 100%, the rest is pretty good.
Yeah, which is why I say this is for people who are starting out businesses. They just need to bring someone in just to clean everything up, rather than, it's not yet at the point where I think it's aiming for, which is someone who doesn't have a clue about what's going on, and they can just speak to AI and it just works. That would be the dream. That would be the dream end goal, I think, for this AI.
Yeah, but that's the goal. That's still like the goal and the idea that they are selling on. Because when we come back to my brother trying to publish this, he probably will have some customizations. And the customizations, depending on what type of customizations he needs, might become difficult to do. And that's where we have more AI. So what we can do, we can go to each section. We can come here. I don't want to actually destroy this section. Let me see if we can add a section. Can we add a section? No. Can I add? Actually, I can.
I don't know about that bit. You should be able to. Yeah.
Yeah, I can add
actually,
a section.
It's not only, there's a few different places you can do it here, but I think you can add an element, and there's an actual an AI section element.
It's here. Oh,
at the top
I just noticed that you don't see my screen.
I can see your screen,
but you see it.
I'm not doing it. I'm not looking. I'm literally watching our stream.
However you like it, but I'm gonna share it here for you anyway, so it's you see it the same second. You have that add section, and now you have a bunch of like section types to choose from. Let's go with...
Just as a point, I think when the web page first loads up, when it loads into this editor view, I think it should say, there should be a pop-up or something that says, continue to add sections, or just some sort of welcoming to like the interface. Because remember, this could be the first time someone lands in this designer view. And they wouldn't have a clue. There's no onboarding. There's nothing like that. So I think a real, at the very least, just to say add sections with this hotkey here or whatever, however they want to push people to use Webflow, and then the person can continue to add sections. But yeah, it just seems like there's no onboarding.
Yeah. So what you see, it seems like the sections that I add, the layouts are pre-made. The only thing that is being generated is essentially it's just a copy and the images, because the images are also AI generated. So my question here is, what part of this like website builder is AI? Because it seems like to me this is traditional. This could be done with traditional software engineering, with programming, a set of variables, and these are just collections of pre-existing things. And the components, it appears the Webflow AI is not creating a new component, at least not yet. At this stage, the components are pre-made, so they are being populated by AI generated images and copy. And what else? Like the colors.
The interesting thing is as well, on my one that I created, it created a price section, and I was like, why has it created a price section? Like nothing about my prompt mentioned anything about like pricing or something like that. I mean, maybe I said I will sell courses or something like that, but the section itself didn't make sense to me. So then I added a new AI section, was specific about selling courses, and then it put it in. But I think you need to watch the video to know exactly how confusing it looked. But it pulled in a section that, you could play devil's advocate and say, I can kind of see why this would be a relevant section. But the copy itself had no clue that it was supposed to be used for my courses that I was not even selling, to be honest, but a courses section. It wasn't even selling. So again, it's kind of just pulling relevant sections and sometimes not even putting copy in there.
It's
So
not really, yeah, it's not even a junior web designer when it comes to the context. I mean, look at this. Services, pricing, and testimonial being it does not make any sense whatsoever. Like, what is this? Testimonials, and then this just doesn't make sense. Or like pricing, this is not pricing. So again, this brings me back to this place where we are at with AI. I strongly believe, like, with even like Mid-Journey, we're just about to get there. With so many of these AIs, we get 90% of the way there, but that extra 10% is actually what matters, what actually makes a huge difference. And in, at least at what I see, almost at 100% of the cases, not exactly, but almost at 100% of cases, you cannot go live with anything that AI generates within just some minutes or hours. You need some hefty refinement like this.
but like, and I think that's kind of unless you want to say anything more about the Webflow stuff, that's kind of a nice segue into Replit and Lovable, how the refinement is part of the. I used a term in my last video. It's something like prompt-based development or something like that. But it's that refinement that it allows you to do, where your initial prompt is just that, your initial prompt, and then you're presented with a pretty good. That'll get better and better and better. And just on the Webflow thing, the Webflow AI will get better and better and better. But then actually driving in, like, can you select a piece of text there and then say generate some text?
Yeah,
You can.
you can. Yeah.
Or can you select a section and say, give me some more options for this section? Is there a refinement thing with the existing
So
website?
if I click on a section, I get these options to change the copy, the background, the spacing, or colors. That's
Oh,
it.
cool.
And spacing, like, add more space. I don't know, like, let's see if it adds more space. I mean, it doesn't really make sense because the spacing is good, but let's see what it comes up with. Maybe that part is AI, that the the variables and the systems that they have built, they allow you AI to interact with it. So it gets my text, tries to understand how to change something in that system, and does it. The section has been updated. No, it has not. Did it? It did not.
Yeah, it did. It did.
It did? Okay. Did you know that you can build a new page with it, by the way?
I did know that, yeah.
So, you have a set of pages. You cannot build any page you want. There's a set that you have to choose from. And you know what's funny? If you go with blog,
Why?
because it's not there yet. I wouldn't call it. Okay, maybe it is beta, but all right. So, well, this is not really related to car detailing, but sure, doesn't matter. Do you notice something here? Nothing is CMS connected.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you create so much and nothing is CMS related. And that brings me back to your point where you said you start here, it gets something very quickly, and then you clean it up or whatever, and then you publish it. To me, this in many cases could get you in trouble. It could require much more cleanup, in opposed to just taking like a pre-existing template or a system that is out there that is already cleaned up and you take that and change things up, especially if it's based on, I don't know, Relume or Client First. You could change the themes just like this. Maybe not with this, few clicks, but in 5 minutes. If you change the variables, you have a new theme. But good luck cleaning this up. Maybe they will clean it up. Maybe they will add. I'm pretty sure they will add, the CMS stuff, because the CMS already has an API. So their AI should be able to connect things. I don't know.
It's interesting. Like, again, the more you, I mean, I think I said this to you in my last week. Like, my original name for my video was going to be called Webflow AI Meh, and I didn't want to be too negative about it, as one of my promises to my channel. But like, I generally wasn't impressed with the output, and it's kind of frustrating a little bit because I switched off all of my Apple Intelligence stuff. Do you use Apple Intelligence at all?
No, I don't even have it. I live in Germany. Dude, like we are
What?
In Germany. I don't have it. I think we are practically a third world country.
In the UK here. Okay, fine.
You're not
I've
Europe.
just turned it all off. Because, like, again, I sent a tweet out about this as well. Like, you get one shot with this stuff, and if you don't nail it, like, I've turned summarization on my emails, because I think it's friggin' terrible on the emails, and like, am I going to turn it back on again? It was difficult enough. I had to Google how to turn it off. Like, I'm not going to like go and look how to turn it back on again in like 4 to 6 months and see if it's any better. Like, it's such a significant time out of your day and your energy to like have to like beta test this stuff. Like, I almost think like they need to make it a little bit harder for you to use this AI. I don't know whether it's because we've had a Webflow account for an X amount of time, which gives us the beta access to the Webflow AI. But like, I almost feel like it's just too easy to get access to, and it just lets you down. Like, it's just not a good experience. It's not a good result. So you just don't use it again. Like,
But even Webflow, and I've seen mixed like tweets from Webflow directly, like from Bryant, the co-founder. I think he was quite proud of this, and again, it's like good starting point, but I'm not gonna use it as it is today, and probably I shouldn't, and they don't expect me because it's in beta. But also somebody else from Webflow, I forgot her name, she tweeted that something like your business wasn't prompted into existence, or like it wasn't AI generated.
Linda,
so no, it wasn't Linda. So it's not also your website. So yeah, this is basically just as a starting point. What I noticed interestingly inside looking at the code, they had classes, and a lot of like, you could see they were calling it Webflow AI generated, but I don't see it here. Webflow AI gen, something like this. If I check on the image, do they have these naming?
Is that like a comment at the top of the? They put the Webflow publish.
No. Like literally every section that was AI gen had AI gen. I don't remember it was ID or class, but it had it. I think Chris discovered it from the community. Let's see if it's not linked. So the links also don't work. So you gotta link them, obviously. They don't have it. So they are clearly working on this and making progress. Yeah, this is much cleaned up compared to just 5-6 days ago.
But you're saying it just had generated by AI. What's the what's the problem? What's the issue there?
It looked really busy, like it looked like really cluttered, and it's yeah, I know there is not like an actual like
Mm.
issue with this. It's just me as a dev. I want to have it clean if it's possible to be clean and not be
You like things clean.
has not like a billion classes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, you know, we could beat a dead horse with this, to be honest. But
Yeah.
like,
So that can bring us to the next one. We have Replit, right?
yeah,
Replit. How do
replit,
you pronounce
replit,
it?
replit. I don't know. I just interchange between replit and replit. But
Replit.
should I share my screen?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it will work right away, or I have to probably
Right.
take the yeah I which one was your screen? Okay, I know. Okay, copy. If it doesn't show up, I'm gonna
Mm,
copy it again. I think it will.
I
Just
mean, it
give
would be good
me.
to show a little preview of the code. To be fair.
I think I'm getting your screen in any second. Now I have it, and we'll share it with the world right now. Now we got your screen.
We will make this better. We'll perfect this by
Yeah,
next year. This time next year, we'll have this down. I'm waiting for it on our stream.
it's working. It's live, but it just takes some seconds until it goes through.
Okay, right. It's there. It's there. It's there. Aspect ratio is a bit funny, but yeah, it's there. Maybe I can. Can I swap? No. Okay, I'm not going to change anything.
For the
So,
aspect ratio, you should use you should change the window size, and
yeah,
but it's fine for now.
it's fine. It's fine.
I'll
Right.
I'll
So
show you
I
how.
think I think a really important thing to like address here is that we've gone. This is my personal opinion. So like for sure, just berate me in the comments or whatever. But like we've just gone from a one type of user which actually encompasses three other users. So Webflow as a tool serves a sort of content editor, it serves a designer, and it serves the end user, the person who's consuming that website. So it's encompassing a lot of things. As a tool, it's servicing the designer and then the content editor. I think, and I'm getting into conversations on Twitter about like Replit. This is very much like when I talk to designers about Replit, they're dismissing it or Replit. They're dismissing it because it doesn't work, and like development just does not work. Their brains don't work in the same way as developers' minds do.
Yeah,
So I would not compare Replit to Webflow. Like I wouldn't try and say to, I really would not say to Webflow designers to use Replit until you are absolutely like prepared for what it is to develop something. I mentioned it on my last video that Matt Evans said like, oh, you can't have a CMS that can post items in a collection and then show that like, and I was like, yeah, you can, because you're building like I'm building Webflow inside of this. Like I need to add these functionalities and I'm building Webflow inside of this. Like I just think designers' brain just work very, very different to this. So saying all that, I'll run through the tool itself, and I mean, if you have any questions, Kabarza, like you can
yeah.
say.
Show me
But
around. So this is the tool, right? It
yeah,
looks
so
like
you,
VS Code to
I
me
mean, you
a little
start
bit.
off with a prompt, right? If you start off with the website that you want to build, and in this, you have to be very, very, very specific. You have to be way more specific in this because the world is your oyster. Like it's not in Webflow. I'm going to flash my referral code just in case everyone wants to use it. Referred slash Jupyter in the giraffe, or Jupyter giraffe, sorry. Um, with Webflow, your prompt, you know the output is going to be a website. Whereas in Replit, the prompt is going to be the code base, which creates an app, a website, a plugin, anything that you want. Your prompt doesn't need to take this into account because it does a lot of filling in all the rest, but you're going to get more out of it if you know how to develop and you're saying, well, I want the authorization to be in Superbase and I want the database to be at this all this kind of stuff. So you start with your prompt. I think improve prompt. Oh, so it's got a helper there. I think you can attach files. So this could be a HTML file. This could be an image file. This could be an export from a Figma file that you can upload and say build a website that looks like this. Which is I really need to do an episode on that.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, because I want to tailor some of my content to designers and see if we can. I don't want to take them out of Figma. I want designers to stay in Figma and then, upload to this. So once you've done that, if we go into my app here, you'll get taken through. I mean, it will be it will run through a bunch of stuff. And if you look through my previous video, it will show you kind of running through all of the prompts and stuff like this. And then you'll eventually get to a page similar to this. I haven't been able to emulate the previous layout for some reason. But anyway. Ultimately, you've got your code on the right here, and Lovable have just released this, but I can edit this code, right? Which is cool, which is great for someone like me. Lovable, you can do that now. It's in beta, but I've got my code here. But really, this prompt first development happens in the assistant window, and I can change my, what do you call it? My agent. I can include files and things like that. I can sort of contextualize my prompt, and I can say, the one feature that I added is this is a journaling app, and obviously people are sharing private information, and I'm storing that private information on my database. I'm encrypting that data, and I've always encrypted that data, so not even I can read it. However, it was the same encryption key that was encrypting the data. So if you gained access to X account's encryption key, you could then unlock everyone else's. So I just said that I want user-specific encryption keys, and I just let it do its thing. And now when it creates a user, so if we go to a function that gets fired somewhere, blah, 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 send emails, reset, create user document, it creates an encryption key that stores in for that specific user. And I can just add features like this. And I can be very broad with what I say to it, or I can be very narrow. Change this line on this file, which is fantastic. And it's just prompt by prompt. And instead of writing code and then testing it and whatever, you're just adding and changing things prompt by prompt. You can then you get a view of it on the. If I run this because it's paused now, you can get a view of it in there. I can hear people chatting. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. Yeah.
Cool. You app loads in this window, and then you can use the app in the window and then check for bugs, check for things like something isn't to your liking. Then you go back to the assistant and you say, change the color of this, or do whatever. You can design through prompting. Albeit it's not as efficient as, say, writing code manually or whatever, but that's how you can edit things. And I tend to, I've got it loaded somewhere here. Here it is. I've got it loaded here, so I'll use the app and all the rest of it, and then report bugs back to Replit. But it's this, the final. There's tons of windows. There's debugging, which is really important.
Yeah. So many windows and so many buttons I see on your screen.
Yeah. You can deploy it. So I've got it deployed on my own server, so I don't need to deploy it here. But you can deploy it, which is great. And this is the kind of all-encompassing solution, which I think is great that they provide. And like I say, the console and debugging is really important. But the great thing as well is Git. And I can sync this back to GitHub and then pull this down, make some code changes, push it up to GitHub, sync this with GitHub, and then it will transfer the code. And it's just this multi-dimensional way of editing the code that I create, that I write on, whether it's
And
in
where do
Replit
you
or
deploy
whether
it?
it's in Cursor. I deploy it in Vercel. So I already had this set up. I already had this code base. So let's just go back here real quick. This was the one I created in my YouTube video, this one here. It was a React app. I didn't really want to continue doing that. I already had the code base. So what I did was I just imported my existing code base into Replit, which is already deploying on Vercel. It already had a Firebase system set up and linked with it and all the rest of it. So now I'm editing this and adding features to it, rather than, this wasn't created entirely through Replit. But I'm sure you could get there. I'm sure you could get there eventually. But yeah, it's
How is
very
the
overwhelming.
context window? How is the context? Like, how many lines of code do you roughly have? I know you have many files.
Oh God. Yeah.
But
I don't
like,
know. I don't.
when you prompted something, will it take account everything that there is
Yeah.
in your code base?
Yeah.
How does it do it, and why can't I do this with ChatGPT? Like, if
You could do it with ChatGPT, but you'd have to put everything into one file and upload that file. But then you wouldn't obviously get,
that's what I'm specifically asking. So if when you are prompting this and it takes everything into account, how does it not get overwhelmed, or like the context doesn't clip out, in opposed to when I do something like this and put it on ChatGPT? Like, if I do Canvas, it just cannot keep up after 150 lines of code with Canvas. In my experience, it never could. With O1, I've been able to get close to 1,000 lines of code, and I don't know the limit, but I have 1,000 lines of code in one file, and every time I make an edit, it rewrites the entire thing, which is not really efficient.
I don't work at Replit. I don't work at Claude, because that's the model that they use. It's obviously unlimited. Like, there's obviously limitations. Put on ChatGPT. But I'm sure if you were to go through the API, you could get that. But ultimately, this is taking it in the whole code base into account, and it can change multiple files. But the context here is, like, if I know what file I want to change, say I want to change something in summary.tsx, then I can prompt and it will take into account that thing. I still think it thinks more broadly if you want it to. I think it thinks more broadly, but you're giving it those extra little cues to say, you think about this folder, think about this file, think about what else can I do in here?
So if we rank them in level of abstraction and also probably flexibility, we have Lovable being very abstracted, very much simpler to start with, very low code, and then we have Replit, and then we have Cursor AI.
Yeah, you're going up there. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, Cursor AI, and I've got a video coming out about Cursor AI, about its comparison to Replit and Lovable. That is really drilling into, I can't, for better or worse, because I'm not going to say that anyone is better, but when we talk about abstraction, because this is running the website, because this is actually running it. It can debug it. It just knows more about the output than what Cursor does. Cursor is like a manual car, but this is kind of like automatic. Like, you just got that more finite control. I've tried adding features with a broad kind of prompt inside a Cursor, and it doesn't quite work. Or it doesn't know what the output is because it's not rendering the project. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like it doesn't know that link 404s or there's an error connecting to this database or something. So that's where Replit and Lovable are great because they're running the thing.
Yeah, that's also, yeah, sorry, go on.
But I'd still use Cursor. I would still
Oh,
opt to
okay.
use Cursor in some instances.
Yeah, this is like a huge topic in AI, that this might be also interesting to people, especially juniors, if they are watching or they will be watching. You
Mm-mm-mm.
know what future holds, and the AI, especially in in development in general, because there is environment that they can test in indefinitely, essentially, and they can just test again and again until like they fix the bug or they invent a language. I mean,
Mm,
there are a bunch of AIs that are not this new generative AI that have been able to teach themselves a game, right? Just by trying a game, they can learn a game. So they can
mm,
figure out a code and a bug by just coding it, right?
mm,
This is
mm.
something big coming, but it's not there yet, right? Or is there like a bug, I don't know, a tool for debugging that works automatically? Is there something like that?
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, you've got the console here. Inside of Web View, you've got your dev tools here where I can look at the network. I can look at all this. This is actually just quickly to comment on Lovable. This is the sort of stuff that Lovable doesn't have. I can even look at the elements here, how it's
Mm-hmm.
rendered. And if an error comes up, I can, if it's happened in here, I think it's this one, or maybe it's Lovable, but like I can um, I can get it to fix errors that are popping up in the console. So the debugging is actually very, very good inside of uh, Replit for sure. Um, but again, I want to. It's the curse of knowledge. I want to say someone with no experience can build something using AI, and I want to believe that, and I do think it's possible. But there is still a mindset. This is why designers are going to struggle to come in here because they're expecting their mindset isn't in a way of like, I want to create a tool. The designers, say a Webflow designer, is coming into the project already on top of the tool, and then they are just using the tool to create what they want. But here, you're close, you're less abstracted from the underlying code. So in
Yeah.
theory, you could build Webflow, you could build a designer in this, but you just need to approach it in a different way, and that's something I'm struggling to articulate, something I'm struggling to even communicate with you. That I fundamentally think that the way Webflow designers' brains operate, they might struggle
No, I
with just
definitely
jumping into an AI tool.
I definitely see this in my class, and the weekly office hours that I have. I quite often get questions that I can clearly see they are coming from the the space of not knowing like the basic like web development rules, or like how the web
Mm,
layout works,
mm.
or like
The initial prompt, I think they could go with the initial prompt because they're describing from a product perspective, like the
true.
end output perspective. But it's when they then are confronted with the code, they're clueless as to how they might add a feature because they're thinking, oh, I mean, you can still do that with prompt. You can still design from a product perspective in the prompt, say list the blogs or something like that, list this set of whatever. But they're only going to get so far with that way of thinking from a product perspective as it stands right now. Maybe in the future it won't be like that, but I feel like I can get more out of it because I'm describing things from a dev perspective.
So the way I'm handling this personally, because I'm not a dev, but I'm not completely unfamiliar with web development.
Mm,
I know some basic stuff. I know like some of the terminology, and whenever I notice, okay, I'm writing a prompt and my prompt sounds really bad. I'm like, okay, the AI is now swearing at me for writing this prompt because it's so, let's say, abstracted. I'm not asking for anything specific, and I know this because I'm writing the prompt and I know that, okay, that's very generic thing that I'm asking. So what I do, sometimes I enter another chat and I ask AI to tell me about the terminology and approach. And I'm like, okay, how would you approach building something like this? What would be the terminology for this? How would a developer would describe this? And this takes quite a lot of time to go through. And that something that we need to talk about is the info dump that you get from these AI tools when you ask them something like this. It's really difficult to like learn everything in one go. You can't. But doing that, you can at least get an impression of how a developer would prompt it. So then I go back to the chat and I prompt it in that way. So again, just like what I did with Webflow AI, which I did in a very lazy way right now, but when I do real development work, I try to actually get the prompt in a different chat, but in a good level, like, it's descriptive, it's specific, and that definitely helps.
It's probably worth talking about Lovable then as well, because like we've jumped into the really deep.
Yeah.
I think Replit is very much a dev's tool. When we talk about Lovable, now you can see how much more simple the interface is right now. They've just released this dev mode, which is what I was talking about earlier. I can now go in, or maybe I can't, I don't know. Yeah, they've just released. I've seen some video.
I have it too.
Yes.
Yeah, I see it on my screen.
Yeah, so maybe I don't have access to it yet, but it does say down here, if you want to code, sync it with GitHub, which I like the cleanliness of it. I really do. But the problem is their AI is good, but it's not great to abstract it so much. Like the AI, I mean, what can we do here? Make the main color of the website, I don't know, let's make it green, whatever. First of all, you don't get any feedback straight away. For me, this is just frozen.
Yeah.
Right? That's just a UX thing. And then this pops up, but it doesn't say, it should automatically say on thinking or on the case or something like that, but it takes ages, and this is just a simple request. But sometimes, the AI kind of maybe gets it wrong or something like that. It's sort of like the whole thing is resting on the chat, which right now is just not quite there. But it does make for a nice, simple experience. And you might be banging your head against the wall a little bit, particularly as Replit will tell you if there's an error. Or if you say set up authentication, it will say go to firebase.com. Create it will tell you actually how to do the stuff outside of there you go, outside of Replit, whereas this will just set up the code to be able to read from Firebase, but it won't tell you as a designer. It won't say, oh, by the way, you still need to go set this up on Firebase, like. And that might make sense. That might just make sense to you. Okay, I need to set up on Firebase, but like, what do I need to set up on Firebase or something? So
yeah, but it was easy actually to do in my experience. It wasn't that.
No, it's not. No, you're right.
So right. If I also,
go on.
Share my screen. You also see that I'm also opening my Lovable, and I don't know, I started building something and I just wanted to add user authentication, and it says the app incurred some error. I don't know, I get this.
Are you getting me to live debug your website? Is that why you got me here? To fix your error?
I wanted to show you where what I did. So I did great. This login.
It looks really good. And how did you get just quickly, how did you get the design looking so nice? Because
I
mine
have
always just
no
look like
idea where I
wireframe.
started. I don't know if I don't. Did I do a template? I don't know. Was it a
Hmm.
template? Could be, but
Looks good.
I didn't change the design. I didn't change any of these things.
Look at yours
Um,
compared to mine. Like, what? I think it knows that I'm a developer. It's just like, you don't care about
he
design.
doesn't care. He doesn't have a
Yeah.
taste for design.
He
So
doesn't have taste. He doesn't know what he's looking at. He just
so
made the website green.
I did add a login. So
Yeah.
there is this login when you click,
Hmm.
this pops
With
up and
what?
it
Superbase or
yes
Firebase?
with Superbase,
Superbase.
Superbase, and
Yeah.
it works. And I
Okay,
added
cool.
my email and whatever. It all works.
Yep.
So I can also do sign up or sign in. But you notice there is no like navigation or anything that it adds. So
Hmm.
it didn't add anything. So I would just like, I didn't try this, but I thought, hey, let me share this. So I can say, can you add the nav and footer to the auth page as well? I don't know that I haven't think much about this before. Superbase project is paused. Please resume the project and so. Okay, get help. I don't know how to resume it. I have no idea. How do I
Well, for the
resume
sake of
it?
the stream, get rid of this. Get rid of it. For the sake of the stream, let's just go to the top right where Superbase is.
Okay.
Dismiss that. Just if you haven't used Superbase for a while, it will ask you to, and then dashboard. Is this it?
So should I
Is it first
restore?
project?
Confirm
Confirm
restore.
restore. No, because that will delete everything. That's just you just want to unpause it. Oh, did you click restore even though I just said not
Yeah.
to?
No, I was
Okay.
faster and I think there was a delay.
Oh,
So
okay.
this deleted everything
I think so. You're now
and
setting up a new project with probably new API
okay,
keys now, so
I'm
you're
not
probably gonna
gonna
have to.
do this, and the API keys I'm showing it to the internet. I will go broke tomorrow anyway. Well, we
Anyway,
see anyway. Yeah.
so did
I'll
it?
play with this later.
So did it? Why isn't it? Is it not running the command just because Superbase isn't running?
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with Superbase. At least, I mean, what does it have to do with Superbase?
But it's a UI thing, so yeah.
Let's because I was on that page. Because I was on
Maybe.
that page, probably it couldn't connect something.
No,
Let's
I
see.
think it's just I think it's just running it and telling you. I think you could have just run it on that page. There's no reason why you couldn't run it on that page.
Yeah,
Um,
but I think that's a
cool.
bug they have. Anyway, so let's error build unsuccessful. Okay, this looks bad
Well, what does
for lovable.
when you click error? What does yeah? Well, this is the problem. It doesn't give you enough. But click on the error build unsuccessful. Click on that thing on the bottom left.
Yeah.
What does it say? No, overload Okay, so if you click on that little spanner at the top right, no,
Uh,
down,
th-
down, down, right, up, up,
this one.
there, splat, that one, yep. Try and fix this error. Just click that. Now it will put it into the chat, and it will try and fix it for you. So
Yeah.
bugs, and this might be a mindset thing. Bugs are inevitable. Bugs just
Yeah.
pop up, and it's
Definitely.
just up to you to fix them. Same with design.
Yeah. I tell this actually to my students that you are yes you are learning Webflow, but you are entering the world of development, and
Mm.
you will encounter bugs. You will try to do things that will break stuff, and just don't worry. Just break things and try to see why did you break them. Try to bring the thing that you broke to a different place. Try to replicate it, but what's it called? Like isolate it. Things like this. But yeah, let's see what it is. I've made following changes.
Because even Webflow is so abstracted. It's so abstracted from what's actually happening. Like it's just
Depend. Yeah.
that's why when we talk about like layer, like well, when we talk about abstraction, that we're getting Webflow is so up here, but then you can get closer and closer and closer to the underlying code. Right, so that fixed the error, right?
Wait,
So you should,
where was I? Where was I? It added.
you were show header and footer, so you should be able to click that login button. It should have a
Oh,
header and footer now.
it's there
There
now.
you
Nice.
go. Boom, boom.
Then nice. So it's actually the same. It's the same component, or at least it looks the same component. That's actually a great job.
I'm so frustrated that yours actually looks presentable, whereas mine's like,
Do you see that beautiful blur that I have?
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very good. Right,
Yeah.
where
So
are we going
that's
with this? Where
lovable.
are we going with this?
I don't know. I
Well, I mean,
wanted to show to show off my
yeah, it looks
design.
good. Like the point of, I think what I'm getting at is like, yeah, this level of abstraction. I think you're gonna maybe have a harder time with Lovable because the debugging isn't there, but also like I'm sure again curse of knowledge because like I'm a dev, right, and I'm used to. I want debugging. I want to be able to get closer to the what's actually happening where there's issues. But as someone who doesn't care about that or is just getting used to this sort of stuff, you like you might prefer Lovable than Replit because it's less overwhelming. You're relying more on the prompting over actually getting nitty gritty with it. But it's hard to recommend one or the other really.
Yeah, I don't know, but for whom this is, because if you're talking to me as like me personally, I would not go with Lovable because I'm also trying to learn development. So I think I want to, actually I'm like trying with VS Code. Like I'm just going vanilla first, trying to learn a bit of the basics better, but all with the help of obviously AI. And just
Yeah.
asking it to explain to me. And the issue with something like Lovable for me is it's still kind of like very contained in the way that they do things. Same thing with Replit. Even though I haven't seen Replit until you showed it to me, it looked actually fairly close to Cursor AI, so I like it. But I want to be able to do more like custom stuff and understand it and learn it properly. But even for a designer, I think they will be frustrated with this because there is the lack of UI controls. So for some, if I want to change the button, you see this buttons, they don't have the same style, or like the containers. They are different containers. What if
Wouldn't
I
have
want
even
to
noticed
change
that.
these things? I do. What if I want to put this button inside of this? How easy is it to get this, or how difficult would it be to do that? I don't know yet. And I wish these tools would start adding some UI controls, which they are doing. Like I've seen Lovable having their UI controls, which were simple actually. They looked like something from, standard text editor type of things, but of course that's where they start. Can you make all buttons boxy with no corner? Let's see if it can
I think
do.
I think it's important to like identify what it is you're trying to build with these tools because neither I haven't tried with Replit. However, it's doing well with my Next.js project. It's doing absolutely fine once I've imported it. But it created my Lovable app, my blogging app, as a React website. And the issue with that is obviously it's fetching the blog posts after the page loads. I said, make this into a Next.js project, and it couldn't do it. It says that we don't support Next.js right now.
Okay.
Which tells me like if you're going to be accessing You either build a static website, well, not even that because it's React, but this is not good for building like websites for. This is good for
Yeah.
building applications. So, which further, we all this whole hype that's happened has come out of this challenge that happened between Design Joy and Lovable, right? And
Yeah.
there is just so many aspects where I keep describing it as apples and oranges. Like they are just they're built for two completely different things. And yes, it was Henrik that came forward and said like Webflow is dead, but he's
Yeah.
just a marketer. He had no idea that he was even attempting to compare their tool to something that's completely different and
I
completely
mean, it did well for
noteworthy
them because look,
competitor.
I'm playing with
Oh yeah,
Lovable. We're
oh
talking
yeah.
about them, but I completely agree. These are different tools. What interests me a lot, and I kind of wish for it because maybe I'm so invested in the Webflow world. How how difficult would it be for Webflow to build something like Lovable in opposed to that AI site builder that we saw, which I don't I guess I understand that because of market pressure they do this, but whatever. I want them to build this. I want them to build like
Mm.
code and chat with AI on top of Webflow. And like just allow me to
Mm.
build an app on top of Webflow. I'm already doing like a bunch of stuff with Webflow and code, like complex. I'll show it to you. I mean, you've seen it as well, but I'll show it on the stream. But it would be awesome to have it native because you make a new project, you have everything contained in one place, and instead of creating a section that is pre-made with AI, what if the AI would actually generate the HTML and like every element, and then I could go in and swap them or change them or whatever I want to do? That would be
Mm.
awesome to me because I want to be able to dots.
I mean, I'll say no. I don't think Webflow will ever do that. They are never going
Really?
to reveal the code. One, it's part of their USP of keeping you in this walled garden, right? Their goal is to just it's the highest level of abstraction you can get from, and I'm starting to be a bit. I sent a I responded to a tweet today because someone was talking about Web Studio about how great it is, and I think the Web Studio have a real interesting proposition on their hands where you should own the website that you're creating. You should have the flexibility to grow and scale, and there's a time and a place for Webflow, absolutely, like 100%. But the more you get into an understanding of building a website, a fully functioning website that might use a new, you might have to move to a new CMS for whatever reason. It might need to move to different, whatever. But Webflow's USP, Webflow's goal is just to keep you so you don't have to worry about all that stuff. The
Yeah.
most I'll think they'll ever see, my hope is that they'll release something along the lines of code components like Framer, yeah, Figma Frame always gets me confused. They'll release a code component thing where they'll reveal the actual component through the interface rather than through DevLink. So it's just DevLink exposed through the
Yeah,
UI.
that would be interesting. Yeah.
And I think from an AI chat perspective, they are focused on designers. So I think that there will be a chat window that you can literally just be a bit more. I don't know. I mean, it's already there. When you add a new section, if you hover between the sections, you'll get a little AI icon in Webflow, and you
Yeah.
can just add that and then prompt your way into a new section. However, I think that what you're after is a lot more finite control about like center align this or add a gradient behind this border gradient behind this button or something like that, like more nuanced. And I think that's where they'll end basically. That's where they'll finish. I don't think
Yeah,
they'll
but
go
we
into the
need
level of
that.
code. Yeah, no, of course. But I don't think they'll ever go into that code, that deep, like you can see the whole code base. You can see exactly how this is built. I don't think they'll
I
ever go
I
there.
mean, you already can see like you already build your own HTML. What I'm asking is that they add an AI that builds that HTML structure for me, in opposed to just using a pre-made component. So build the
Sure,
HTML
got you.
and also allow me to interact with it with the AI chat, just like Lovable. I want to be able to tell the AI chat, go there and like change whatever, and it changes it, and it also still available in the UI, in the CSS UI, so I can go in and do further changes. What I'm trying to do is, for example, like this thing that I built it on Webflow. Like you probably wouldn't build it on Webflow because you would do it in a proper environment. What I did, I started from where I feel familiar with. So I started at
Mm.
Webflow and added
What's Webflow adding here, other than just
nothing.
a div and a bit? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, why wouldn't you just upload an index.html to a S3 bucket and then you're
Yeah,
good?
but it's easier for me to manage the hosting, and that because I want to pull in somewhere else. Maybe I want to add some component UIs. Maybe I want to expand on it, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'm also like doing versions like this, so I have different versions as different pages. I know this is not, again, this goes back to what you said about the mindset of like a designer mindset and a developer mindset. You would probably have like different GitHub versions, but I don't have that yet. I'll get there. I'll get there. But the idea is that I have this thing in on my head, and I want to start building, and I want Webflow to allow me to do this. And if they don't, well, there are other players that they will allow me to do that, and they will also soon allow me to also do the marketing side of things, what Webflow shines at, and that's where they could get in trouble.
Mm.
Because Lovable is going after, yes, they are going after making a web app, but no, they are actually also looking at providing you with the marketing side of things as well. Like you will have, I think that's their vision. That you will have the entire thing all together. And I think
Yeah.
Webflow should do this. I mean, they tried to do this. They made Logic. They depreciated, or not deep, but they canceled it. They made Logic. They made the user authentication. They made all of this, and now they
Mm.
should do this again, but in a unified place with AI. And if they don't, I think Web Studio is gonna do it. If they don't, I think somebody will do that, having that UI just like this, and then that other part. Because me as a developer, I make this, and I gave this link to my designer actually, and I'm like telling my designer, hey, I know this is not looking good. Use these to make something beautiful, and then put it in Figma so we can use it as a marketing thing, but also copy the code so I can later on, develop it and put it out there. So this UI is really needed, and I don't think that we will get to a point where we won't need UI, and we will need um, only chatting. I think
Mm.
UI in demand is more of the future. So when I say UI in demand is this, like having something like this, but generated. So I type in with the AI, and it will give me options or previews or buttons. So it's not just giving me some text to interact with, to read,
Mm.
actually some stuff that I can interact with. And maybe if I say, can you change colors, it also pops up an UI here that allows me to drag and then play with it.
Mm.
I'm calling it UI on demand, but who knows?
You-
Maybe I'm
I
too.
mean, I said the other day, like, you can predict form, structure, layout, hierarchy, but you can't really predict. Like, you can't. When I say predict, you can sort of formulate that sort of stuff. But you can't formulate creativity, and you can't formulate trends, current trends, because designers, for better or worse, a lot of them, 98% of them follow trends. That's all they're doing. And that's why I don't think AI will ever fill the blank. I think AI will fill the blanks of UX, which you've used Reloom AI, presumably.
Yeah.
It will fill the blanks of Reloom, but I don't think it will fill the blanks of Figma. Webflow's, I don't think Webflow is poised to take AI to a new level, or I just don't think it's the right point in the creation process to introduce AI, to be honest. It's because it's bringing together so many disciplines without people really realizing it. It's bringing design, it's bringing dev, it's bringing UX, it's bringing copywriting. It's all of those things. It's trying to do so much, where the modularity lies where a UXer will appreciate being able to prompt their way through their wireframes and stuff. I'm hearing more and more. I think Ran released a video today about the Reloom stuff. Like, is a UXer legitimately going to use Reloom, or and I use the term lazy. I really don't want this to sound harsh, but like, are lazy designers going to use Reloom to just figure out the wireframe and the UX of a website so that they can just design on top of it? Because again, bringing it back to Replit, as a developer, I'm using it as a starting point, and then I'm digging, baby. I'm digging into that code base like there's no tomorrow. I'm not using it as a lazy dev or a lazy product person just to build my application. I don't know whether you can speak to that. Like, how deep does Reloom AI go?
I think it's the same with Webflow AI. You can't with Reloom you have actually more customization, but honestly I'm not like using it for any of we use it just for sometimes just to test it, but it has never worked to the point that we can use it like directly. I think there might be some use cases for very like simpler sites, but whenever we need to do something like custom for our clients, which are like all of our clients, I did give it a try multiple times in the past, and every time it gets something good, but it's not good enough to be like, just pull it in and use it. So I have to sometimes for the actually when we talk about things like just the sitemap, we did use it a lot for just generating the UI, and then we go in and we put in the things that we want ourselves, and that's where it gets disconnected. The issue is like you can't take it out, make it something completely custom, and then bring it in back and continue from there. You have to do everything inside of the tool, and inside of the tool sometimes I can't do everything that I need. It doesn't have all the components or all the custom sections that I need. I want to be able to think from scratch based on the needs of the client, and not based on what I'm being dictated by the number of components that I can choose. So,
I mean, you're talking there about like integration, right? You're talking there. You want a clean way to be able to import from Reloom.
Not only, I'm just saying it's not like something that I can use for more complex or like custom stuff. I can imagine some people using it for very simple websites, but again, you will need that extra 10% of refinement that you have to do.
So while you've been talking, I've been thinking of like a summary, like of what I'm feeling and thinking right now about it, right? And I don't know where I saw it, but someone commented on an Apple advert of using Apple Intelligence. And the way they painted it, the way they presented Apple Intelligence was just sheer laziness. Like it projected, it glorified this person. Oh, it was the advert where they'd forgotten Mother's Day or they'd forgotten a big event and they were like, shit, I don't know what to say or I don't know what to do. So they just quickly AI like what to say, right? And and they painted it in this way of just being lazy. This person just was not kind enough or whatever
Yeah.
to think ahead and plan and whatever. It was an act of laziness. And this is not where we want AI to be. This is not where the greats in 10, 20 years are going to be who use AI. People who are great at AI, where AI needs to be, it needs to be a tool for those who are willing to like use it as such, as a tool. It shouldn't be something to make people feel lazier. There will always be those people who want to be lazy, but the best Webflow designers are those who don't just use the pre-built components and then say jobs are good and I'm done. The best Webflow designers are those who really understand it, who dig in and all the rest of it. So, I mean, I know we're not talking about AI there, but we're talking about it's maybe a more tangible way of describing how someone will always be better when they use the tool as a tool. Same with AI. So Reloom, again, I'm really interested to know where they go with it, but the AI should not just exist on a surface level and say, hey, here's a bunch of wireframes or here's a sitemap. The AI needs to give those who build sitemaps for a living or build wireframes for an actual living to literally work for days and days and days on their wireframe using the AI. So in summary is basically AI needs to exist as a tool for those who are experts in that specific thing. If it doesn't take them beyond that surface level, then it's going to fail, or it's not going to fail as an AI, but it's going to not do its job. It's not going to be the best AI that's out there. Does that make sense? I've ranted a
Yeah,
bit.
and I think this is true about pretty much any industry and any tool. It's about the level of abstraction. I think we can boil it down to that. And in photography, for example, you would have the same argument 20 years ago about, I mean, I don't know how many years ago, but like 50 probably years ago about digital or like film. When did digital come to play? Probably not 50 years ago, probably like it was more like
In film, digital
yeah,
film, you're still talking
30 years
20
ago.
years, maybe 20,
Yeah.
20 years ago, yeah, something like that, right?
With pocket, what was it called? Like compact cameras, coming into play. And
Yeah.
Kodak, for example, went out of business. Things like this that happen. And I
Oh,
think that,
photography. Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm
yeah,
thinking
photography.
film
And,
cameras.
and
Yeah.
people were like saying, well, what is real photography? That is not real photography. So there were arguments to make, and there were a lot of people doing like actual photography jobs. And there were, I mean, I know from my city where I grew up as a kid, we had a lot of like small shops where you would go to get like a pass photo. You needed it for, I don't know, school. You needed it for so many occasions, and people would go there and do it. And also to have like family photos, because people didn't have cameras at home. Not everybody had, or like good cameras at home. So there were this job as a photographer, but that faded away very quickly with likes of iPhone, right? Everybody could take a picture. But does that mean the job photography is completely done? Or is it like completely gone? Not exactly. I mean, we have a new phase even like after cell phones taking over. Now we have Midjourney. And I found myself yesterday recommending to a friend to do Midjourney as a photographer, to use Midjourney, because they know composition, they know what a good photo is, and they can take a picture, bring it to Midjourney, do something. So what I'm trying to say, the job changed a lot, the industry changed a lot, and the ones that were not really good, that sounds harsh probably, but the ones that were not
Careful.
really good, they lost their jobs, or they got faded away, or they got absorbed. I don't know what happened to them. The shops that people were doing photo, what happened to them? Did they take another job? I don't know. But probably the same thing is going to happen in many new industries where and much faster, rapidly, where AI is going to replace not the job, not everybody, but actually the ones that the bottom line that were not doing,
Yeah.
like, the great job, and
I
connect
tell you
that
what.
to the
Oh,
next
sorry.
step that is very visual. I think it's easy to for people to grasp. Imagine Figma designers. I know we talked about UX. Is something very intricate and very. It's really custom. It's really like you need to have a really huge context, right?
Mm,
You need a big context to understand UX. But what about UI design? Like, what if I give you a wireframe or just draw something on the screen, on a paper? Like, let's say I want this rough idea, and give that to Figma, and Figma outputting like a really nice UI. I think we're close to this. I mean, Figma has showcased some AI designs, and I think we will get there with design, and a lot of
mm,
designers will be in trouble, because if you look at, I'm trying to hire new designers, right? I would say over 95% of the applications that I get, the designs are not even as good as the untitled UI.
yeah.
It's a template. It's a huge library, and it's so simple. Like, I imagine there are like a lot of people doing design whose output is not as good as a library that you can just pull in and just
Mm,
literally copy paste. Their job is not
yeah.
as good as that even. So how long will it take for AI to replace these people? And how does it look? Like, what will it look like, that replacement? To me, it looks like, okay, I'm giving the job to a designer to do it. And if Figma adds that tomorrow, I'll probably use Figma. I know that sounds
Yeah.
harsh, but I will try,
Yeah.
instead of giving the prompt to the designer to say, hey, can you design this? Give it to the AI. And if people don't want to be, left out and be replaced by that tool, I have one advice, and that is broaden their understanding and utilize the tool. So they are not just a prompt converter. They are
Mm,
not just
mm,
they are not just converting the communication to something, but actually have a deeper understanding, and deeper
what,
understanding of
like
the
you did at
tool
the
and
beginning
the
of this
context.
call?
Yeah, sorry, what? Yeah,
Or like
exactly.
you did
Do
at the beginning
not
of
do
this
that.
call?
Do not do that, because tomorrow AI will just do that itself. So exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's two points I want to raise. One, commoditization, and two, um, what was the first one? Damn it. We'll talk about commoditization first. Well, I guess roughly what I was thinking about is it's lowering the barrier to entry, right? So with AI, because the bottom feeders, the ones who are very, very basic, are now replaced by AI, um, they need to, and I often think, I was thinking specifically about this morning. I'm trying to tell people to spend more money on something that can be done with AI. I'm living in this world where I'm living in the past, where it's like people would pay a lot of money for development of advanced features and stuff like that, and I'm charging per hour, but the work that I'm producing can be done in 30 seconds now with AI, and I'm trying to force those worlds together, and I need to readjust my pricing, which I need to figure out, because either, you know, I lower my prices and go for volume. There's two aspects to running a business. You lower your price and go for volume, or you sell at a premium and you go for sort of fewer clients, but you sell at a higher rate. But I now need to justify why clients will pay a high rate, because because of AI and development, a lot of that's just been pulled from underneath me. I can no longer charge for a lot for development anymore. People will just be like, no, I just get someone who can prompt, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the sort of my response to commoditization of it. It's like, because we've commoditized a lot of this stuff through AI, we need to rethink about how we can add value to something that's now been commoditized. I do think design is safe for the time being, but certainly development, we need to rethink how we're going to earn money, whether it's through strategy, whether it's through providing design and development services. I don't know. I'm trying to think about that. So that's the commoditization aspect. But the lowering the barrier to entry is, what AI is doing. It means that people can now produce very basic things for basically very little money and just go for that high volume turnover and say, look, I'm a UX designer now, and what they're doing on the back end is just using AI, but they're selling it at a very cheap price because that's all it's worth nowadays. So I think those 2 points are kind of entwined, but ultimately you need to either enter the market at a very cheap price producing cookie cutter stuff, which there's absolutely still a market for them, but they're not going to pay a lot of money for it, which is totally fine. Or you leverage AI and you become exceptional at AI, which hopefully these tools allow you to do, rather than just a single prompt, one and done, you're done. No, Reloom needs to really allow you to dig in. As a UX designer, really needs to allow you to really dig into creating a wireframe and all the rest of it. And you become exceptional and sell at a premium because you're doing things that no other person can do with AI, because it's beyond just a prompt.
And this has actually happened to my developer. He lost his job to AI, but he got a better job. So he was doing development mostly for me, and I was getting him paid by hourly rate. So he was doing little things that were also really annoying. They were not like cool stuff to build. He was basically fixing my bad code in Webflow, and he would add on top of it like a slider or whatever that I need. But with AI, I started doing all of this myself. So he didn't lose his job, but he wasn't like directly working for me. But I stopped giving him this type of projects because I was just doing it myself. But he got a job at a company, at a startup, and I would say a really good paying, high paying job doing development. So he didn't exactly lose his job to AI. He did quit. He did stop, doing low level stuff, because I'm now doing those things because I am able to do them with AI. What he's doing like bigger architectural build, like front end, but like on a much bigger scale, building like entire apps that cannot be built, with a shot with AI. So he's doing that in another company. And now we are also thinking, okay, what can we do in the new age of AI that is, that was not possible 3 years ago. So,
yeah.
You gotta get good.
You gotta get good. You gotta get good. You will not survive earning decent money on just being able to one and done prompt, get it done. Like, you need to put in the work. Whether it's using AI, whether it's taking what AI has done for you and adding that value, but you will exist at the lowest of low, from a pricing perspective, lowest of low if you use again, you're not even sharing your screen. I'm looking at
No.
Reloom. I'm looking at Reloom's interface because Kabarza is sharing with me. But like, if you look at Reloom and think of it as a lazy way to create your wireframes and your sitemaps, you will lose. You will not be, and you want to focus on UX, you will not survive. Whereas and I don't know whether Reloom allows this, but if you can dig and dig and dig and improve and do the existing UX work that you were previously doing 10 times faster to get to that exceptional level UX work, then you're probably gonna do well. But yeah.
So the
Um,
market is changing rapidly, yeah. And
yeah, for sure.
it's harsh, but people need to get good. This time, I think, is it's different this time. It's like what
Mm.
happened to copywriters. Uh, the not so good copywriters. I don't think they have any jobs anymore. The the really
No,
good
no,
ones,
yeah,
they absolutely have still their jobs and probably like
yep,
better jobs and higher paying
yep,
jobs. But the not
yep.
so good ones, you know, the bottom, I would say even probably 70%. Maybe I'm just like guessing something, but I would assume they don't have their jobs or they won't in a very short time. Because why would you hire a not so great copywriter?
Mm. They were once probably okay, but now that AI is like
Exactly, that's my
lowered that
point with
barrier to
AI.
entry,
Yeah.
and they're trying to they've had a taste of the sweet honey when it was good, when times were good. They had that taste. All people are paying me $50, $100 an hour or something like that, but they're trying to get the same quality level of work, which people just won't pay for anymore because they're just not that good. They've done their website in AI and thought, hang on, my copywriter was producing basically the same thing and it's cost me 10 times less. So they either need to really rethink their approach to copywriting, up their game, or use AI better, or like I say, they're just going to lose.
Yeah,
So
somebody, I saw a video on Instagram. Somebody made a video, it went viral in the community saying that somebody working in Sweden for essentially an e-commerce platform, or not a platform, e-commerce, it's a shop, right? It's a shop, clothes shop. He said 10 or like 20% of his like colleagues got laid off to AI, including developers. And it sounded like, okay, what? So I commented like, either you have like crazy models or they were like really bad web developers. Like AI is not there to replace developers. And he corrected himself and said, actually, this is very on topic. He said the the translation and copywriting department got axed, and the developers working on those things, on those tools, they got axed as well, because now they are using AI for the entire translation and the entire copywriting department, which was really interesting. So, so if you are a developer and working on something related to copywriting, you might not be saved, because that those departments will absolutely get nuked. Because why would why would you do translation, like human translation, in a big department when you can do it with AI and then just a few people, a few good ones overseeing AI. I also had this at Adidas when I was there. I actually worked on that. They had like huge, like very old software doing translation and localization, and I actually fed into the translation tool, and it would go to people. It would go to like teams across the world to do the translation and return it back, and the tools would return it in JSON. I can't imagine Adidas still using that, and I can't imagine those people still having their jobs. I bet
yeah.
they don't. I mean, why? Yeah, yeah, so,
I'm sharing my screen. It'd be good to sort of start wrapping up now, but I'm sharing my
yeah.
screen if you want.
I'll show your screen.
And shout out to Raymar, who I think he's built a really interesting app that's gaining a lot of attention, completely within Replit.
Yeah,
Granted, he's self-professed kind of has been building products and stuff for 10 years, but he made a comment saying that it was ridiculously easy. But to bring it back to Webflow, to bring it back to, you know, this whole AI discussion, I saw this yesterday, and it got me thinking, and I wondered if you had any thoughts about it. Vibe coding is the new no code. People, probably devs saying this, don't get it. No code has limitations stuck with your platform, and vibe coding produces code transferable. And then Raymar said, I don't necessarily agree with this, even though I don't necessarily agree with this, because I originally thought, I don't know, I sent a tweet saying something along the lines of, is no code a transitionary thing?
The stepping stone, right?
The stepping stone, right?
Yeah.
And I've kind of gone back on that now because as I get into these conversations with designers and specifically Webflow designers talking about Lovable and Replit, who quite clearly just don't, I don't want to sound elitist right now, but they don't get it. Their brain just doesn't work in that way. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Their brains just don't work like an engineer. It works creatively, just like my brain can't work in a creative way. It's more of an engineer brain. So I really, really don't think no code is dead, because you still have people who cannot fathom how, if we think of it like a jigsaw, cannot fathom how they can build the jigsaw pieces in order to produce a website. They're sitting on top of a platform like Webflow in order to build a website and do their job, right? There's just two completely different ways of thinking. So this whole discussion right now is, I don't know whether I agree with it.
I don't agree with that, actually. I think no code will evolve. And I think the vibe coding is actually going the direction of no code. The vibe coding will have less and less of chatting and more of UI. This is what I mentioned earlier, that
I don't agree with that.
I think there will be UI on demand there, where they will show you options and ways to do things. I mean, right now, Replit and Lovable are going that direction. They are trying to show you it's not like UI generated on demand, but you want to code, you want to code using, prompting, but you want to also be able to drag things and move things around, and that is no code. And I think that won't be dead.
So I have to argue. I have to argue with this, because something that you're completely just, I don't know how to say it. You
Wrong.
need to understand. No, you're not wrong. You need to understand that there are people who do not give a shit about UI. They just
always been people like that.
They're distracted. They are distracted by UI. When you talk about code, and when you're building when you're working with logic and building things with code, UI is distracting. It's like there are back-end developers. Traditionally, it was like UI developers and back-end developers. The back-end developers, I don't care. Just send me some data and I'll send you some data back. They just want to work at that code level. You're wanting this design level, and don't get me wrong. If Lovable or Replit can do it, I don't know how they could, because the UI, as you saw, is already just so. There's so much going on. You're really serving two different users there. You're serving developers and you're serving designers. I don't see how those two worlds can mix in an elegant way. But the point is, I'm talking about the way people's brains work. They don't need that. It would be nice. I'm with you that it would be great, but they don't need it, because there are people's brains just don't work in that way.
I think we're talking about two different audiences. I fully agree that a developer won't want this UI that I'm talking about. All I'm talking about is this vibe coding being the new no code. I'm saying that the people who are vibe coding, they will want to have some control that is using UI. And I'm not saying it will replace the other thing. I'm actually envisioning it very much like this new toggle that Lovable has. That if you are a dev, you toggle it on. I mean, Figma has that as well, dev mode. You go in, you change the variable there. But if there is a designer, they won't change the variable in code. They want to drag the slider to see, how it feels. So both of them, I think, can exist in the same platform, in the same UI, just like with Webflow. I just wish there would be a Webflow with AI that allows both UI, that you can go in, do whatever you want with backend or front end with code interface, and I can do the same thing with the UI interface, but obviously you would have more control. You will be building more logic, and I will be just, having less of that. But if I want to enter your world, that's the vibe coding, and that is where I don't necessarily go in the code and changing something. I will ask the AI to do it for me. And
I agree.
this is where it should go.
I'm going to eat my own words potentially in a few years, but I just think that's so much to incorporate in one tool. I'd probably prefer them to be separate, because what happens with like Photoshop is the easiest example I can give, that you try and accommodate so many users that it becomes very, very bloated. Like Webflow is great in that it's really keeping a lid on the amount of development access that it gives and the amount of like exposure that it gives to the underlying technology, because you start opening that out and it starts to get messy. But saying that, if someone can do it well, if someone can do it and build a tool exactly like you're describing and keep it clean, keep it simple to use, then I fully welcome that. I have my doubts that it's ever going to be possible, because it's just so much.
Maybe AI can code it in one go when AGI comes along.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like you're just flipping the entire tool on its back and saying you're in design mode now. Ignore completely the code and ignore that. You're maybe prompting your way through the design, and then
maybe Figma is, Figma, you can't code in it, but they have a toggle for that. So everything that you do in the tool that I envision is, transferable. It's like connected everything. Maybe let's see where it goes. As of now, we have some site builders that I want to review. I want to give like a deeper review. Relume, the style guide, and what they are going with. They are going their separate way from Webflow, because you asked this previously. You said you wonder where they are going. They are
Figma.
No, Relume.
Okay, yeah.
Relume. What they give you is, a wireframe and now the style guide. That is essentially a website ready to go. So all they have to add is a few more controls to, change a few more things. And then a button to, instead of like saying export, saying publish. And I bet they are going that direction.
And I have made a video about Figma doing basically the same thing, but I think they're more design oriented, they just need a publish button. No,
they just need a publish button. So that would mean that Framer is practically more in trouble if Figma does such a thing than compared to what Framer devs say about Webflow being in trouble by them.
Do you want to stop sharing my screen and we wrap this up?
Yeah. So let's just go like this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go, but that's beyond the scope of AI necessarily. But point is, it's an interesting subject.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna check some of the comments if there is any. I had some comments, but on Instagram the UI for chat on Instagram is awful. I wanted to build an extension to clean it up, because every person that joins, it will be inserted in the chat. And if people chat, I won't see the chat because people are coming in and going out. It's horrible. So I wanted to build that with AI. I actually started. I did play a little bit with it, but businessman, it doesn't let me do these fun things.
Um, well, while you look at that, I think, yeah, I'm really interested to know what people have to say about everything we spoke about. Like, I think it will be cool to do more content. Like, I'm fascinated with the no code AI development and stuff like that. So, like, some content ideas could come out of this discussion, which I'm looking forward to. So definitely leave comments below if you have questions or ideas or something you want us to go
People
more in
are
depth on.
asking for your ID, and I'm gonna tell you guys, for people on Instagram, please let me know in the comments if you have any questions. We talked long about AI. This was not really planned. Yes, we tried to plan it, but not really well planned, I would say. And it's like my fault. I wanted to use some of these tools before today's live, but I was very busy setting up the live.
I use
Anyway,
them. I use them.
Sam used them instead, and I'm happy that you showed me Replit. Actually, that was very interesting to me. I've never seen it before, so, and I'm gonna give it a try. I don't know if I can do it this week or not, but yeah, people, if you have any questions or if you have suggestions, whatever, if I have scared you away with my talk about AI taking your jobs, don't worry.
Or saying
I'm
you're bottom of the barrel.
I'm learning, like, learning how to mix drinks, because once AI takes away my job, I want to have another job. But yeah,
What kind of mixing? Cocktails.
cocktails. Yeah.
I was wondering whether that was a not a an analogy for something. I'm mixing drinks, like you're trying dev, you're trying design, you're mixing drinks. But no, you're literally talking about mixing
Yeah,
drinks.
literally, like, yeah.
Um,
Somebody saying I have tried Cursor also. Tray, which is
tried.
which is free Chinese version, both using
Oh,
Sonnet 3.7.
yeah.
Have you tried them?
Yeah, I haven't tried Tray, but like if it's a free cursor, then it's all kind of the same thing. And I've got a video coming out on my channel. If you subscribe on Patreon, I'll drop my Patreon in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Patreon.com 0x5am5. It's coming out on Monday, which is a comparison between Replit and Lovable, but I talk about cursor. I talk about why you would still use cursor. And really, ultimately, like, and I said at the beginning of this stream, Replit and Lovable are the entire. It's running the experience. It's running the app. It's running the website. It has more context as what the output is. If there's an error, or if something is not quite working, if you click on something as a console error, you can just if you watch about halfway through the stream, Kabarza had an error inside Lovable. He was able to just click on the little spanner icon, and it will just automatically put that into the AI, and it will fix it for him. Whereas Cursor, or Tray, whatever it's called, doesn't have that kind of context. It only really knows about the code that you give it, and you tell it to change things, or you tell it to make a feature or something like that. For me, it's very much more nuanced, and it's much more granular, the level of control that you have inside of Cursor that's within your control. I describe it like a manual car versus an automatic car.
So what about Copilot? Does it, like,
Copilot will
if
be the
you,
same
yeah,
thing.
but
Like
Copilot, doesn't it have a full context of your entire app? It doesn't see the error. It doesn't compile it to
it
see the
doesn't see
error,
the
but
error. It doesn't compile it. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. It knows the code it's given you the code, and it knows the code that is presented in front of it. But it doesn't know that that bit of code doesn't work. It won't tell you there's an error or something like that.
is there a
I've
way that
tried.
you can, like, do that with Cursor or with
I sent a
Copilot?
tweet out Yeah, I sent a tweet out saying I feel like I don't know Cursor as well as I should because of exactly what you're talking about. I did then go on YouTube and look at some like reviews of Cursor, trying to get to the bottom of it and stuff like that. No one showed me anything like that. No one showed me anything like what I can do inside of Replit, which is describe a feature and it will just build this feature across all of these different files. It can kind of do it, but it's just not as Replit and Lovable just did a much better job at doing that. But again, yeah, I'm thinking surely Cursor should be able to do that, know about errors and stuff. But I just not had that much success with it.
In my experience using these, not the cursor and Replit, but just using O1, I'm just giving O1 tasks, putting it in the code in Code Sandbox. It's hosted, the HTML lives on Webflow. In my experience, I have to do the manual work of like figuring out how to communicate the bug with the AI. And a lot of times it's not about what is visual or what is being outputted that they can, measure and try to fix it. Sometimes it's a logical error. Sometimes you want the app to create that specific thing, and you describe it and it tries to do it. For example, I did it with some Ripple and physical world simulation in my dots, and it couldn't do it, and there was no bug. That's my point. There was no bug
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the AI could see. It was up to me try it and see, okay, how can I communicate this not working the way I want with AI?
yeah,
And the issue is they have no way of seeing that in action, like, that
yeah.
physical. Or so there will be always nuances like this that would be very interesting to solve. And I think that is where software developers, especially the good ones, will keep their jobs for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I hope that answers the question. Definitely give Replit a go. Um, I think you'll have more. You still maintain the same mindset as you would in Cursor, but I think Replit and Blubber will just help you out a lot more from my personal experience.
Yeah, cool.
Any more questions?
Yeah, no, this was it. There were some, but they were like much long ago, and I think we
Mate,
have
you need to be
answered
on
them
it. You need to
already.
be on it. You should bring them up.
Yeah, I
Would be
need to
better at
make
that.
that extension.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. We've been online for 2 hours now, and I need my dinner. So that was really good. Also, in the comments, let us know what you might want us to talk about again for another one of these. This is just an experiment. If it gets a lot of views, if it gets a lot of attention, we'll do another one. Whether you want us to stick with AI somehow, whether you want to stick with Webflow or whatever, we're looking for suggestions. We need your feedback for this to continue.
We'll
Otherwise,
we'll make it
we'll,
better.
yeah,
We will bring in some drama. We'll try because
yeah,
there is drama in the community. We'll try to bring in some design, some development drama. I would love to bring in some award-winning websites and just go through it. You can curse at them for their terrible UX or code. We can look at them. We can be amazed by how it's built, and maybe you can explain how you would approach it. Maybe for a non-technical person to, you know, to replicate something similar using AI. I think that could
yeah.
be interesting to a lot of people. So a lot of ideas. You guys let us know, and with that, I think we can wrap it up.
Cool. Cheers
All
for
right.
sticking around, guys.
Thank you guys for
And
watching,
stream.
and see you around. I'm gonna